Recording is on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on Instagram shops and other ways to sell online in 2021. I'm Tim Ryan, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I'll be your host. Also, this presentation is being done in partnership with the Fairfield Library. A big thanks to the Adult Services Librarian, Claudia Silk, for her support. We all look forward to the day we can conduct live workshops with our library partners. Our presenters today are Jeff Seaver and Jon Dupree. More on them in just a minute. First, some brief information on SCORE. There's over 320 offices and 11,000 volunteers nationwide, and we're part of the SBA. SCORE Fairfield County has over 130 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer three primary value-added services to small business owners. First, free one-on-one counseling, face-to-face telephone, email, video. 2, educational workshops and webinars, over 150 per year. And 3, extensive resources on our website, including a network of subject matter experts at your disposal and templates to help you develop your business plan. SCORE puts on many webinars each month. Look for future events on our webinar calendar at fairfieldcounty.score.org. Some useful information about today's event. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It is located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar will end at 1 p.m. to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at fairfieldcounty.score.org in the on-demand section within the next couple of days. Now our speakers. Jeff Seaver runs Seaver Interactive, a digital marketing and website design firm in Westport, Connecticut. He has been building websites and creating online content for over 25 years and is an accomplished designer, artist, and computer expert. Jon Dupree runs Calibrate Marketing in Danbury, Connecticut. Jon's experience combines over 20 years in sales and marketing in the business-to-business world with extensive technological knowledge. He develops marketing strategies for startups and small businesses that improve results and ROI in email, SEO, and search and social media, including in-house mentoring and training. Welcome, gentlemen. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. I'm Jeff Seaver. Nice to have everybody with us. Thank you very much for joining us. One of the things I just want to mention as a caveat before we start is that this is not social commerce 101. We can't possibly cram the amount of information that you would need into such a short webinar. Even when we teach this in person, we usually require about 2 hours to, that's kind of a primer. This stuff goes kind of deep. So we're really just going to try to do two things. One is give you a general overview, and the second is to really try to impress upon you the staggering change that's coming with social commerce. We actually think it's, we added this particular component to the series of digital marketing workshops that we do because it's just unbelievably big how much we think the entire world of marketing is going to change when people can shop directly within their social feeds. It's largely inspired by COVID-19 because we're all locked up. People are finding more and more crafty ways to part us with our money. So we wanted to kind of give you those two things, just an overview and our sense of it. We usually start out with just a quick little primer on the notion of the big picture of what we think. You can read Seth Godin's great quote. There's a lot of these slides have details on them that you're going to see us blasting past. All you have to do is send me an email at the end of the workshop, and I will send you the entire deck by PDF. And then you can take your time going through the details. Some of it's just, first of all, we think you're good at reading, so we don't like to just read exactly what's on the screen. And second of all, it probably will take some time to go through this stuff. We always start out with the notion that it's really about trust. The days of the used car salesman talking you into something that you really don't need or want are long gone. All of us are way too informed It's really about establishing trust and making sure that your brand is something that becomes sort of a trusted part of somebody's experience, sort of in their heads and in their hearts. So John, you want to start in on this?
Sure. So the first thing we want to do is define e-commerce. It's being able to buy and sell the things over the internet without ever having to meet face to face or have to exchange any of your contact or purchasing information over the phone or such like that. And it's a wide range. It's e-commerce and getting into social commerce. It's changed the way that that we purchase. Probably as much as the introduction of the Sears catalog back in the 1800s, where people no longer had to go into the store; they could order from home. So, e-commerce and now getting into social commerce is just as much of a change to it. And we'll look back 10 years from now and say, of course, that's how we purchase. Okay. So it all began back in 1979. There was the bulletin boards that started where people were making exchanges. CompuServe created an electronic mall with the World Wide Web and browsers. We were able to create storefronts. Bookstacks Unlimited started. They were a bookseller. Then Amazon launched, and eBay launched. So each one of these were different ways to purchase. Then you had Netflix, where they were doing their DVDs, but eventually became to what we know today, PayPal, Zappos, so forth, all the way to Etsy in 2015. And going forward, we're seeing that e-commerce is taking on more and more of the retail. This was produced in early 2020, this chart and expectation. Now I think that we have exceeded the 2023 numbers. Because of COVID and such. So everything has really escalated about 5 years faster than we expected.
That's amazing.
Okay. So in the beginning, you had CompuServe, Amazon, eBay. They were basically online shopping malls. So somebody who was going to be selling some of their gadgets, they could join up with these places. They were able to set it up very easily, but people had to go to Yahoo or go to Amazon, go to eBay, and you couldn't really brand your store very well. So there was limited offerings that you could do. It had to really fit into what the mall wanted you to be able to sell. You had to pay a pretty high price to the mall every time you sold, and again, very limited branding for it. So what happened is that many people decided that they wanted to have their own e-commerce store, and what it would become is it's a dedicated website for that one seller. Next slide, Jeff. Yeah. And it was a dedicated website. It had a lot of database management going on. So many of the IT people who worked for corporate got involved in building up these e-commerce massive stores, but you could do whatever you wanted with them. It had total control over branding. It was all customized, very, very secure because you could build the site directly yourself, but a very high startup costs, very high ongoing costs. Those IT people had to be involved on a monthly, weekly, even daily basis to update product, to make changes. It was all custom. So if the people who built your site decided that they no longer were in business, you had to bring someone who knew how to program and read through all the code and figure it all out again. So most of the people had dedicated programmers on staff.
I know. Next slide. Hold on. Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Too far. Yep. So the next stage was then coming up with these self-hosted stores. That was using certain frameworks, content management systems that you could then integrate e-commerce together with. Many of them were set up that they were dedicated e-commerce, and they were again designed by IT programmers. So there wasn't a lot of design thought put to them. Most of the web designers out there look at the e-commerce store and just think it's the ugliest thing in the world that we've seen because it was designed by programmers, not by designers. WordPress and WooCommerce, they joined together, and you can now take a WordPress website and add WooCommerce e-commerce to it, so you can get some design functionality. And so WordPress WooCommerce has become the largest of the self-hosted stores out there. And again, because it's a WordPress environment, you can customize it, make any design that you want to it. You can build it up in it. Because it's using a framework, you don't need to be a dedicated coder to be able to put it together. And there's literally thousands of people who are able to then support the WordPress and the WooCommerce environment. So you're not stuck to one dedicated programmer.
I'll just mention here that in case we have folks who really want to feature products, but don't want to engage in online e-commerce yet, WooCommerce is pretty spectacular at allowing you just to create individual product description panels. There's no requirement that you put in a shopping cart or pricing. So it's a great way to start out building out a larger and larger database of what you have to offer, and then driving traffic, not necessarily to an online checkout, but driving traffic to either make phone or email inquiries or come to a physical location.
Yeah, we'll often see people who want to create like a catalog showroom. They'll use WooCommerce and just not have the add to cart or buy now, or even the pricing listed on there. But you're able to see everything that they have in inventory or all the different types pretty easily. Okay. Okay. So some of the advantages of the self-hosted stores was that it was easy to install, easy to set up. There's an ease of management. You still had to have somebody on hand who had technical skills that were able to do the software updates and manage the software, but it was pretty easy to find somebody. So there was low ongoing costs. The problem was that there was a large upfront cost to create the original store. You really needed to have somebody who was going to design it for you and put it all together. Okay. So that introduced the third-party storefronts. Shopify, BigCommerce, Wix, Squarespace, Weebly, Square is now getting into it. These were all places that they were hosted. They would control all the software. They had a lot of themes that you could choose to have what you wanted to look like. You didn't need any programming and technical skills to be able to put it together. Next slide.
Nope. It's on the wrong thing.
So the third party, they would manage all the software updates, and they would have a monthly pricing to it. Made it very easy, very affordable. There was not a large upfront cost to get it started and get it going. And then next slide. Okay. And they were pretty fast, easy to learn, put together. You didn't need to have the technical skills, and you could customize it. And some of the platforms now, there is a lot of customization that can happen. We're seeing more and more of these storefronts, these third-party storefronts that look like independent stores. You can't tell that they're a Shopify or that they're BigCommerce platform. Okay. The downside to e-commerce is that you have to get found. Marketing and SEO and all these things, not only is it just a matter of going out there and finding the right products to sell, but then you have to get those products in front of somebody. And you're going to spend more and more of your time actually working on the marketing and the SEO, the being found in search and getting them hooked into Google and all the rest of it, than you will actually doing the transactions.
We get calls all the time from potential clients saying, "Can you guys help me set up, a store? I really need to make money quickly. I want to start selling my stuff online." And we try to gently ease them into the realization that there ain't no really quickly. I mean, there are stories on the cover of Forbes magazine about somebody that skyrocketed right out of their garage, but typically it's an insane amount of time and resources go into building one of these, and it grows slowly because it's really, as we said, it's not based on blasting out a message. It's based on trust, and trust builds slowly. I just want to mention a couple folks have posted individual questions regarding their own situation. We'll do our best to answer some questions at the end, but we're going to keep going through the slideshow. And if we can't get to individuals, you're welcome to reach out and contact us out of school. Okay, our email addresses will be at the end.
Okay. So e-commerce, there's a very high growth rate. We're more than doubling the stores every single year that are available online. So it's highly competitive. The other problem is that the online behavior, basically consumers, it's changing constantly, going from desktop to laptops to mobile phones to wanting to be able to do it through the 3D viewing and being part of my TV gaming systems and so forth. So we're constantly changing how we behave and what we expect to see. And then there's the technology on the back end that's also constantly changing. There's updates happening all the time. Some of it is adding new features. Some of it is to prevent for security hacks and things like this. Um, so the how-tos, how do you get set up on these stores? That changes on a daily basis. Every time a third-party storefront makes a security update or a feature update, it changes how you add a product, where you're going to find the going into sales tax areas and so forth. So you have to be using the software on a daily, weekly basis in order to stay familiar with it. If you don't go into the software for a month, you're going to have a pretty big learning curve trying to figure out all the changes that have happened. The other big problem that happens is that being profitable, it takes volume. You have to have people coming into the store, enough people coming into the store decide to buy, enough people to buy, they add to the cart, there's no cart abandonment. Now you make the sales, you're able to get some profitability, and that volume of people takes time.
I just want to mention one of the things we wanted to include in this presentation. We were working on it still this morning. It was specific how-to panels on doing various things. And we discovered that in the time it took to lay out the panels, what's today, Thursday? On Monday or Tuesday, the panels had changed by today. So we actually had to go in and do new screenshots. That gives you some idea of how fast this stuff is evolving.
So the traditional way of how do you get people into your store? Doing traditional marketing, direct mail, the coupons, gift cards, things like that, that still works. People will have, buy online on a direct mail that they'll send out, or some coupon or stuff. Email marketing works very, very well. And we see these catalog emails coming out. We'll have, a whole bunch of different products on there, and you can click on any one of the products and it goes directly to the store. Search, the SEO, search advertising and social advertising both work well. Press and public relations. When you have a new product rollout or something like that, getting that announced in the press releases, getting it online, links. Social media posts, which is what we're going to start talking about, and influencers, which are the people on social media that have a large follower. And if they just mention your product one time, you can see a large amount of traffic coming to your store. So social commerce, typical storefront. In your Facebook, you'll have a shop. That shop has been around, the shop tab has been around for a while, but now they have made it much easier. In the past, you had to create your tab, you had to hook it into a storefront, you had to do a bunch of technical things to get it to work properly. What Facebook has rolled out this year has made it very, very quick and easy to set up that shop. So we want to be able to shop and purchase directly on the social media feeds. This is a big driver for social. What in the past, they would have a link that would take you to your storefront, but social didn't receive any money for that. They didn't get a referral fee or anything like that from your store. So they were offering this service of having social channels to your store without really seeing any kind of revenue stream happening from it. By including purchasing directly on your social media feeds, they can take a percentage of that sale. They're going to be doing, or they're in the process of doing the credit card transactions directly through there. So you're not paying for your own credit card transactions any longer. It's all rolled up together. And this is already on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and they're constantly updating and getting it easier and easier to work with. And pretty soon we're going to be seeing it on YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, and just about every other social platform that's out there.
Yeah, everybody who's on this game, the minute that they see that they're losing money, they're going to try to solve it. And that's what Facebook is ridiculously good at. And then everybody notices that Facebook is starting to cash in on this. So folks like Google and Apple and all the streaming services and all of the major vendors and catalog people, they're all paying very close attention to this and realizing there's just an incredible amount of revenue being lost when you're not capitalizing on this stuff. So they're all tripping all over themselves to enable you to basically sell, in your underwear at 3 o'clock in the morning while you're fast asleep. And that's the goal, is to get that revenue back in their pockets. It's climbing outrageously. I mean, just take a look at these remarkable charts. I mean, that is pretty crazy growth for a short amount of time. And this is August 2020, so I guess those do reflect the beginnings of the COVID effect, as we call it. But really, it's kind of gone into the stratosphere since then, believe it or not, just in the couple of months since the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other big part of it is that the audience that is most willing to do social commerce is they're under 18, say up to 25 crowd. They are very familiar with it. They feel very comfortable being able to do purchases directly through there, and it's just growing very quickly.
We don't have to go through all these. I just wanted to include them so people can get a sense of some of the ridiculous statistics involved here.
And what you'll see with a lot of these statistics is it has to do with reviews, it has to do with product showings, it has to do with building that trust. So they like social commerce because they feel it's more authentic than talking to a salesperson. They're able to actually get some direct feedback from consumers and influencers and people that they trust for about what's happening, people who don't have a vested interest in making the sale.
Yeah, influencers don't have a vested interest. Except that they get paid for every one of them.
Yeah. So right now, a lot of people are looking for deals and promotions on socials just because it's so new. But also the exclusive content, the getting in depth in something, being able to really see the product and how it's working, see how it fits into a lifestyle, that type of thing. And Facebook has been the largest, mostly because they've had shop tab for the longest period of time. But Instagram is picking up very, very quickly. And then Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn. We'll start seeing things on here for Snap and for TikTok as well.
Underlying all of these statistics is one very key statistic, and that is convenience. That's really underlies all of these things. You're just basically making it so that folks looking at their phone, in the middle of their living room, all of a sudden they're conducting shopping. They don't have to travel. They don't have to risk exposure. They don't have to do anything except tap a little finger. Sadly, of course, the bill arrives at the end of the month. One of the things we've been looking at is how do you get found on these vast systems, and they're really doing a great job with that as well. Search engine technology has, if you guys remember Facebook's search engine from 3 or 4 years ago, it was legendary for being one of the worst search engines known. You could actually you could have a fully built out Facebook profile, type in your exact name, and it wouldn't show up at all. It'd say no such listing, or 24 of them would show up that were all alternates, but not you. And they've gone a long way with their algorithms now. So basically folks can search for like that hat that kid is wearing. You just decide you'd like to have, I forget is that a straw boater? I'm not sure, but whatever that is, you can type it in, and Facebook will now direct you to the actual online shops that have that thing available. It's pretty remarkable.
And this has Google concerned while they're paying attention to this, because in the past, people would have to see something on social media, then go to Google, type it in to find out where it was going to be. Now, if I can just type it in directly on my Facebook or my Instagram search, I'm never going to go Google again. So they're concerned about that. Then also the fact that the algorithm controls the product. So in your feed, in your discovery feed or in your news feed, you'll actually start seeing products happening, and it becomes like you're just browsing a shopping mall. So Facebook and Instagram are replacing the let's go hang out at the mall and do a little shopping.
You're all familiar with, you go on Amazon and buy a vacuum cleaner in the morning, and then that afternoon, Facebook is completely covered with vacuum cleaner ads. It's going to get worse. I just wanted to quickly mention one of the other problems with Google is Google typically does not rank individual posts. They'll rank pages, but the internal search engines for Instagram and Facebook will take you directly, not just to a feed, not just to a profile page, but right down to an individual post. And that post is where you can embed tags and actually sell stuff. So it's just showing how absolutely wild this really is getting to be. Folks can sell directly from their own pages, and it changes the game, not just for big companies, but for folks that are really small businesses, really have the opportunity now to get their stuff out into the marketplace in a way that was never available before. You want to add anything, John?
Yeah, just this also is a big change for the influencers. And right now there's people out there that they're just trying to build up their fan base, the number of followers that they have, and then they get to a certain number and they're able to go to companies and say, hey, I'll mention your company name to my 2,000 fans, and pay me some money to do that. Well, once they are able to sell directly through their social pages, they can be putting on the new jacket or the purse, or checking out the place, and have right on there, buy this, and they can buy it from their own store, and then they'll get a percentage of the commission for that. So we'll talk a little bit about Instagram shops. So right now, here's a post. If you hover over a couple of the areas on that picture, these little bubbles pop up that will tell you the name and the pricing on them. And this is what Instagram shops is all about. And Facebook shops as well, same kind of concept. So what you want to do is you want to take that post and make it into a shopping. So they hover over the tweed jacket, they click, it takes them to the product page. It has some information about that. They're then on a checkout. Depending upon how it was set up, Instagram right now, for the majority of it, is set up that if they click on that checkout button, it will take you to the storefront. That would be the third-party storefront like Shopify or WooCommerce or something like this. They're in the process of changing over that you can purchase it directly in Instagram. So if you click on that checkout, it then takes you directly to Instagram or to the storefront, and you're able to just place the order right off the bat. One of the reasons why they want to have that all built together so that you can purchase it in Instagram is that Instagram will have your shipping information, it will have your payment plan, all that set up. So it's just a one click. Click it and boom, it's done.
Same as buying a Kindle book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you do on Instagram is you will tag your products in any of your posts. These can be in videos, stories, photos. Visitors, people can zoom in onto the accessories. They can take a look around. They find these tabs. They click on it, and it takes them to more information about it. Again, very quick and very easy to do. Okay. What it also allows you to do is that these posts that are shoppable posts, they are able to be found in Explore. So they will show up in people who are not following you, just based upon what their Instagram interests have been. So if your post is about a certain type of thing that is of interest to me, it will show up in my Explore tab. And that is a great way to be discovered. Okay. And also a viewer can come in and they can say, what, I'm not ready to buy right now, but I'm going to save this for later. So they can save it, and then they can come back at a later time to their Instagram post that they've saved. So it's not just a matter of I've created an Instagram now, and for the next 30 minutes, I may get sales. You may get sales for weeks later.
I'll just mention on this panel, it's just an introduction. We're going to explain each of these features in just a second, but I want to mention the Instagram catalog part that we put on the bottom there. That didn't exist yesterday. It literally came. I mean, we knew it was coming, but it was released just this morning. So we hustled in and added that to the slide, but gives you some idea of how fast this stuff is evolving out from underneath us. Somebody asks if it'll show up on Explore, even if it's not a paid post.
Yes. Yes, and that's one of the nice things is that your regular shoppable posts will show up in Explore, just like your regular posts can show up in Explore, as long as the algorithm decides that you're worthy enough to be in the Explore feed.
Just want to also mention, people are asking about service-oriented businesses. This stuff is oriented almost entirely on selling product right now. Doesn't mean it'll stay that way.
Yeah, probably the next area will be in the travel. We'll probably start seeing travel happening pretty quickly through these as well. That will be more of a service orientation.
Yeah. And product will lead to real estate, and real estate will lead to service too. Yeah. Just want to quickly mention another thing that's coming. This stuff is going to be embedded in video. They're working on it really hard right now. If you go on, I think it's Netflix, but if you wave your mouse over a movie, might be one of the other streaming services, all the actors will show up on the left, and tidbits about what happened on the shoot, and background information, and they're explaining everything that's going on in that scene, and inside stuff on that particular scene. That's coming soon, where what's called product placement takes a gigantic leap forward, where there's a can of Coke, an Apple computer, somebody's driving a Lexus, and you wave your mouse over the screen and you can go buy one. So that is coming soon, sooner than we think.
All right. So an in-app checkout, we kind of walk through this. That's where the post shows up. You click on it, takes you to the product page. You click on the checkout, and it takes you directly through to doing the purchase while all in Instagram or all in Facebook. So they have it in Facebook currently. Instagram is just beginning to roll out as of, again, this week. They've announced that they're doing the beta testing in the US for certain larger brands.
Somebody also asked about whether this stuff is really targeted towards the young. And I guess there's two answers to that. Is right now in the early implementations of some of these features, it's targeted towards the young because that's where the buying dollars are, especially young women who are buying fashion, they're buying makeup, they're buying accessories, which really, really lend themselves to this particular medium. But that's going to be changing as more and more of us who are, shall we say, beyond the age of 40 start to really pick up on what's possible here. And I think it's going to grow and grow and grow. We're showing mostly examples of stuff that's oriented towards millennials and around that age group, because that's where most of the population is going right now, but it's not going to stay that way.
Well, I'll also say that most of this is derived around the mobile market. Instagram is all mobile. Facebook is mobile and desktop for both, but this is really being pushed towards the mobile market. And there's different audiences on Instagram than the people who are on Facebook. So that's one of the reasons for looking at one versus the other.
Do you think that's an age issue, the difference between this? Is that a good reason to focus on one store versus another, Instagram versus Facebook?
No, I know many 40 plus people who are on Instagram because they are a visual person and they like the visual part of it rather than the, this is what I had for lunch posts from Facebook.
So you think Instagram maybe is a little more advantageous for folks whose offerings are primarily visual?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Shop for creators. So this is where, as a creator or an influencer, designer, I can be able to put things in my posts that I have a storefront for, and you'll be able to see what I'm wearing, see what I'm using, and be able to purchase that, and it will come directly to my storefront. So I'm not sending you to somebody else's website. I'm actually sending you to my website, mine being the creator designer's website that is selling the new purse or new sneakers or something like that.
What about third-party connections? Let's say you're a food blogger and you're holding out a plate of food in your Instagram story, and you're wearing a beautiful Van Cleef & Arpels diamond ring, and somebody takes a look not at the food but at the ring. Can you connect
Sure.
that to buying the ring, or do you have to be in the business of selling rings?
As long as you have the product in your store, you will be able to list the product on your Instagram post. So,
and there's no restriction on what's in the store in terms of what you do for a living?
No, it's Instagram. As long as you have a store in Shopify or WooCommerce or some totally different store and it's branded to you, it can't be one of these. It can't be Etsy or Amazon, but it has to be your storefront. If you're listing a product in your store, then you'll be able to do a post to it.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of food bloggers, you can think about, what are the pans that I'm using? What is the mixer I'm using? So all these things can be available in a store now. Okay. So as somebody who's a blogger or an influencer, now I have a whole new revenue stream that's available to me.
A lot of bloggers are already putting entire shop pages that are linked to Amazon or Etsy or something as one of the pages on their website. They're showing their blogs, they're showing their posts, but you can go over and buy all the stuff. And then typically it'll be a linked account, so that they're getting 10, 15% as a cut on each sale. But this takes it to a whole new level.
And then the other really nice thing about this is once I have a shoppable post, I can then push it out there as an ad. So I can then define my audience just like I do with a regular ad and be able to get this out to people who I've never had any kind of contact with. Okay. So Instagram shops, you can brand up to 5 products, or sorry, tag up to 5 products in your post. It needs to be a direct link to a website to purchase right now. There are eligibility restrictions on whether you can have an IG shop, but that's opening up. It's loosening on a weekly basis. Right now, you need to have that link going to a web store that's under the same domain name that you registered your business Instagram page with. So it's, again, it can't go to Amazon or Etsy. It has to go to your domain name. And this really is trying to eliminate third-party shopping platforms like Amazon, Etsy, Instagram, and I believe Facebook. They're trying to compete with Amazon. They don't want to send traffic or business to Amazon.
And they're also being kind of cagey about eligibility. People are applying for stores and being turned down or accepted, and we often take a look and really can't discern the reason. They're certainly not telling us what their reasoning is.
So once we go into Facebook shops, so one of the big differences between Facebook and Instagram is that Facebook has a virtual storefront right on their tab. So in your tabs, you have shop, and in there, you'll be able to see all your products being listed out. Where on Instagram, it's a matter of what post you're putting on there. There's no place to go see, okay, what's everything you sell? With Facebook, I can go and take a look at everything that's being offered by the shop.
One of the attendees asked about, can we help them here about locating influencers? And believe it or not, we could do an entire hour-long webinar just on that. No, we're not covering that at all. It's really rich and deep, and by the way, changing on a daily basis. But all you have to do is Google those exact words, and you'll find more white papers and information than you'll know what to do with. And if you like these webinars more, just call us up and we'll read them to you. We'll read the white papers to you over the phone. What is it, $200 an hour, John, to read that out loud?
Yeah. There's also job banks out there right now that you can go to for micro influencers. People will sign up to be a micro influencer, and you can go in and say, I'm looking for people who do A, B, C, D, and the job bank will connect you to the micro influencer. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it now.
We used to make jokes about whether micro influencers were in fact very diminutive people. And now we've got influencers who are 2 and 3 and 4 years old. So that joke kind of went out the window.
So with Facebook, just like with Instagram, you have a post, you can insert tags directly on that post. And as a person sees that post, they can hover over it, find the tag and click on it, and that will take them directly over to a product page. Okay. What's also nice is that you can do a Facebook Live or an Instagram story video. And at the bottom, you can have your product that you're talking about listed right on there with a add to cart or get more information button. So people can be watching your video and decide that they want to purchase something. Oh, you're jumping around quite a bit. Okay. And decide they want to purchase it and click on it, and then you'll be able to sell it.
Obviously, I'm a dangerous man with a mouse.
And then the big thing is that these products are all discoverable in Facebook Shop Search, in the Discovery, and in the Explore feeds. Okay. So for Facebook Shops, there's no requirement to have an online store and e-commerce platform. You can actually just start uploading product directly into Facebook. You have the shop tab to display the product. Facebook Messenger is great for answering customer questions and being able to have your customer interaction happening. You can collect payments directly on Facebook. You have to get approved. And then if you do have a third party, a third party store such as Shopify or even WooCommerce, you can have it sync so that as you add product to your Shopify or change your pricing, that information will get directly fed over to Facebook. You don't have to go in and manually make the adjustments.
This is a quote from Mark Zuckerberg, who, as far as I know, yesterday was sued by a multitude of states and attorneys general for a violation of Sherman antitrust statutes, because
And
basically, if they see anything of value in the marketing world, they buy it.
and this is going to get even bigger for them because this will open up e-commerce as a major revenue driver. If we thought that Facebook was making a lot of money before, they're going to be making tons more now, and they'll be taking on Amazon and so forth. So really interested to see how the FTC handles this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they force them to start selling off segments.
Yep. In answer to a question about with Instagram, yes, right now you do need to have a third-party store e-commerce storefront, but Facebook you do not need to have it. So even though they're under the same company, they have different rules that are happening. But again, these rules are changing on a weekly basis. So I expect pretty soon you're going to find that if you have a Facebook storefront, you'll be able to push those products through your Instagram feed. Okay, so Facebook shops right now, there's no fee, there's no cost to creating a shop. You can create a shop and you can have your product available online absolutely for free. There are fees if you are going to have the purchase done through Facebook. This is how they're looking to make their money. So if you do payments versus via Facebook checkout, it's a 5% plus 40 cents per transaction or something like this. So it's a pretty high
dollars they charge them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But it's a pretty high cost. People always say, "Wow, 5% for every shipment," but when you look at what some of the other stores and you add in your credit card processing and everything else to it, you often will find yourself in a 9, 10, 15% that you're paying to your e-commerce store, where you'll be able to do a Facebook shop for 5%. Okay. So biggest advantages was the social shop. It's easy to use. You're going to have lower cart abandonment because things are going to be automatically recorded. Just like when I go to Amazon and I can, as an Amazon Prime, I just do a one-click purchase and it knows my credit card. It knows all my information. I buy things in the middle of the night that I never expected to buy because it's just so easy. Facebook is going to be pushing the same thing. Just make it easy as possible to do it. You can also shop through your app. So I don't have to go to facebook.com and open a browser. I can just go right on my phone. I'm scrolling through Facebook on my app and be able to purchase right there. Facebook is and Instagram, they're looking at many different ways to get these products directly over to your attention. So regardless of how you're interacting with Facebook or Instagram, then you're able to do it. You can display all your products and all your information directly on your page or your IG profile. And then again, after the first transaction as a buyer, all my information will be auto-filled immediately.
Before we jump over to Pinterest, one person asked if the link on your Instagram profile has to be an exact match to the link to Facebook Business Manager, or if a redirect will work.
Well, we'll be talking about that because Instagram Shops is directly related to Facebook Commerce, which is the new way that Facebook Shops is putting your information. So it's similar to your Business Manager, but it's a different section of it. So we'll get into that. So we're talking about a couple of other social media. Pinterest is probably the number 3 right now. One of the coolest things that they have is this lens visual search. So if I am at a store or at someplace and I scan a product, Pinterest will take a look all through their app to see if they can match up that image and then show me I can buy it myself. And here's how I can buy it. And it then links over to a storefront to be able to make the purchase.
As you can imagine, retailers are just crazy about this feature.
Love it.
A lot of them are already pretty upset about basically paying all that money for brick and mortar storefront display, and they're being used for comparison shopping, and then folks go online. This is just going to make it worse.
Okay. And then the one that the younger generation is really excited about is this TikTok shop. So they can create their little TikTok videos. They can put tags in their videos that then link over. Ideally right now, it's mostly to Amazon. So as they're showing off something or doing their activity, they're going to have a little pop-up happen. You click on that and you go directly over to your Amazon storefront.
some of you guys might have seen, it was just on the news last week, the largest amount of visits to any Instagram account was a 15-year-old girl, I think in Connecticut,
Yep.
who got 100 million views. Does these little dance routines. And so far, I think according to the article, she and her family have pocketed $4 million. And I think she started doing this in 2017. That's a pretty astronomical success story. Who knows where it's going to end up? It'll get interesting to watch.
So the thing with TikTok is that individual brands are able to launch their own shop. They can do a hashtag, so you can have follow a hashtag and be able to see all these different shoppable things. Amazon Finds is a big hashtag right now, and it's driving a lot of Amazon sales. Levi's has actually started to use TikTok, and they are doing some tool device inside of the TikTok where they're able to help you design your own denim jeans directly through TikTok. So that's pretty amazing how they've put this together. Okay. Snapchat is another one that's coming out with shopping. They're doing it a little differently, where they are working with people to come up with basically content series. So stories, TV show kind of concepts. And in there, they'll have different products that are being featured, and people may be wearing them or talking about them, and you can just swipe up and be able to buy it. So this is what's being watched by Netflix and by Google Chromecast and Apple TV as a potential way of replacing TV advertising, is by doing some of these type of featured products directly in the content.
We're
gonna have to go quickly now to go. So now we're going to talk about how do you get this all set up. So it's all done through the Facebook Commerce Manager. Go to facebook.com/commerce_manager, click on Start Selling, and it's going to walk you right through it. So this is the onboard landing. This is where you start. So you say, yep, I'm going to go. You need to check out, you need to select how you're going to check out. Do you check out on another website, or are you going to check out through Facebook and Instagram? So we'll talk about checking out on another website first. You have to select which page you want to sell from. So you select your page that you have, your business page on Facebook. Okay. And then you create a catalog. So you say, okay, I want to create a catalog. If you already have catalogs on there, you can just click on one of those to add more information to it. Okay. And your catalog needs to have up to 20 characters. You want a good description, because that's what's going to show up sometimes in the feeds or front page, and a really nice image talking about that overall catalog. Okay. Once you have a catalog, you then can add products. Product image generally is 500 by 500 pixels. Name, date, or name, description, details. You can select for variations for options of color and sizing and so forth. And then you can add as many products as you want to it. So this is all doing a manual way. You can also set up to have a feed. So it just all comes in, all your products come in from your Shopify or your WooCommerce store. Okay. If you're going to set up to do everything through Facebook, where the checkout, you click on the checkout for Facebook. Again, it has another wizard. You need a bank account and routing number that's US, tax and payment information. And the tricky thing is that they want you to have a sales tax number for every state that you're selling in. So it's not a matter of, oh, I'm selling in Connecticut, I only need a Connecticut sales tax. They want you to say, oh, if you're going to be selling to New York, you're going to have a New York sales tax number. If you're going to be selling to other areas. So that's one of the really tricky areas right now. And then you have to go through what the shop preferences and policies are. And part of this has to do with what your return policy is and customer service. And that's where a lot of people are getting rejected, is because they don't offer enough of a return policy and guarantee.
It's one of the reasons why a lot of folks are still continuing to route checkout to offsite.
Yeah. And the other thing is that by routing it to offsite, you don't pay any fees to Facebook. So you can create your own shop and just have a feed over directly to where you want without any problem.
And then pay the fees to those
right
people, like PayPal or Authorize.net.
The really nice thing with Facebook shops is that you can personalize the store. You can make it look like your store, not look like a Facebook store. So you can do a lot of changes and adjustments to the layout, how collections are going to get displayed, what colors are going to be used, things like this. And once you have a store, if you want to add a product, you just go to your shop, click on add product, and you're going to walk through the same thing of just adding a product to your collections. Okay. Okay. So once you have a product in your storefront, how do you get it out on your post? Well, you create a post and there's a little icon that says tag a product. You click on that and you can now run through a list of all your products, or just start typing in and it will find your product, or you can even add a new product right from here. And then the post will have the tag built right directly into it. So it's really quick and easy to set these product tags up. Okay. We'll talk about Instagram. Instagram, you need to apply for Instagram shopping. So that's the very first thing you have to do, and you have to get approved for it. It was really stringent originally. Now it's getting much looser. And then you're going to connect it to your Facebook catalog. So once you've created that Facebook catalog, you then need to connect to it. My recommendation is that create your Facebook catalog and set up first, then apply for Instagram shopping. We have a suspicion that once they see that you already have it all set up, it makes it a little easier for you to get the approval done. You want to sign up in the app for putting the store, the catalog connecting to your Instagram store. You create a post or story as you would normally do, and then tag products. And then same way that we did in Facebook, you just select what product from the catalog, and now you created your shoppable post. You can add up to 5 products per image or video, and up to 20 products on a multi-image post. So if you have one of these posts that has like 5 images to it, you can tag up to 5 times on each of those images, up to a total of 20 products. Okay. So to get Instagram to be approved, you need to have an Instagram business account first. It needs to be a business that's in a supported market. That's where the sales tax comes from, but also that it's legal and that it's reasonable. Right now, you have to sell a physical product. They're not offering the services side of it. It needs to be e-commerce policy compliant. That's the return policies and all the rest of it. And the account has to be connected to a Facebook business page.
So we're just talking a little bit about what's coming. You guys are already familiar with getting direct mail that's addressed to you, an email that's addressed to you, dear Robert. The degree of personalization that's coming is even more remarkable and based on big data, but the degree of detail and what they call granularity is getting ridiculous.
So if you've ever gone into one of these boutique stores and you have a salesperson that is really going to help dress you, and they're telling you, with this shirt, you should be looking at this skirt and this tie and so forth. That's that in-store experience that social media wants to personalize. So what they're going to do is take a look at everything that you do online. And that doesn't just mean in the app. It means, as long as your app is open on your phone, they're tracking everything that you do. And they'll start to make personal recommendations. You'll see certain things happening in your feed and certain things happening on your discovery. And then when you go in to make a purchase, they're going to start making recommendations that based off of this, you should be looking at different things. Okay. So all kinds of display of contents and products and recommendations and offers, all based upon your web browser history, your previous orders, but also as you're scrolling through your feed, where do you pause? What kinds of things do you click on? What are you reading more on? So they're tracking a lot of this to be able to make the best recommendations and personalization for you.
I have a couple of friends who have complained about being bombarded with stuff that they really hate. And I've asked them about their behavior, and they've realized that they'll come across a video or an ad or something and look at it for a long time because they're really upset about it or angered by it or politics or whatever the topic is. And Facebook is measuring that stuff. They're actually counting the microseconds that you're staring at something. And the more you look, the more you'll get. We're just going to talk quickly about adding a little bit more personalization to stuff and what we're seeing coming. And it's pretty remarkable. They're doing a great job of tracking this stuff. So we're recommending to folks that they really be looking forward towards incredible imagery. Google up, if you're not already familiar with it, start taking a look at 360 views. Interaction and augmented reality and virtual reality are coming. Apple is about to release a set of glasses pretty soon that are much along the lines of Google Glass, which means as you're walking down the street, looking through your glasses, it's actually telling you where you are, what stores are nearby, who has a sale, but how much the gasoline is in the next gas shop, and
Yeah.
everything
People
else.
wondered why Facebook bought Oculus, which is the 3D viewing glasses or virtual reality, because that was so much for gaming and it didn't make sense. But now you think about this saying, okay, I'm going to have a storefront and then I'm going to have my Oculus glasses. I'm going to be able to walk into this store and look around and pick things up and so forth. So it's really getting to that virtual environment.
So let me just ask a couple of questions that were not resolved earlier. One of them is somebody wanted to know whether like to know it offers any advantages. I'm not familiar with it.
No, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know if it's an
All right.
app or a section for it.
All right. Another question that I saw was about Weebly. One person wrote in that they're on Weebly and having trouble setting up Facebook Marketplace. I don't know whether there's a specific workaround for that. Some of the DIY or Insta stores, as we call them, have very restrictive kinds of setups for connecting and linking to outside sources. So I'm really not familiar with that.
I believe there is a Weebly feed, but you have to take a piece of the Facebook code and put it onto the Weebly page. If you do a search under Weebly for Facebook shop, you'll find the whole tutorial for it.
That's great. And that's our slides. Does anybody have any other questions they want to ask? We're at
Just a quick one, Jeff. As a mentor, I've run, 2 years ago or so, we would always tell people you've got to have a website. You can do Google ads, Facebook ads, but you want to drive them to your website for your sales. But lately we have run into people who have been on Facebook since middle school. They know it. All their contacts are there. They just want to do Facebook shop. And do they really need a website anymore if they're that type of business, I guess?
That's a great question. My answer right now still is yes, but I don't think that's going to stay the same. The other thing that's about to become a lot easier is bypassing a website by creating the app of you. Application development. When John and I started, it was $50,000 to create an app from scratch. The last couple of application development teams we brought in were around $5,000 to $8,000 to create a custom app from scratch. And it's just going down, down, down. So will a website be necessary in 5 years, 3 years, 4 years? I think less than it is now. I still think it offers one really key thing for most folks, and that is the aspect of legitimacy. The first thing people are going to do is Google you up, as it were. And if you don't have a website address, that raises question marks in the minds of a lot of folks.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
That was great.
the other concern you get into with it not having your own website and having everything done on social media is that if the social media goals don't align with your goals, you could run into a lot of problems, meaning that social media may decide to turn off that whole feature that you base your business around, or they may get broken up by the FTC or by the government, and you're no longer able to have access to your shop.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good point. If people have questions, their contact information's there. So feel free to reach out to them if you have other questions. As a reminder, recording of this webinar is available within a couple of days on the fairfieldcounty.score.org website. Please check our website for information on upcoming webinars. Again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on the screen or visit our website and click Request a Mentor. We are available for sessions via phone, email, and video. Also, please fill out your evaluations that have already been sent at the end of the webinar. On behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's SCORE live webinar. And in closing today, a big thank you to Jeff Seaver and Jon Dupree. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. It's really nice attendance and great questions, and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.